Good evening. Welcome. This is our Wednesday, April 13, 2016 edition of the Government News Brief. In the news, President Granger wants diplomatic strengths to resolve issues affecting the rum industry. Baracara community gets new development project, and we are 44 days away from celebrating Guyana's 50th independence anniversary. Stay tuned for the details of these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Azim Khan and this is the Government News Brief. President David Granger hopes that diplomacy's strengths will help resolve trade distorting measures affecting Guyana's rum industry. More in this report.
President Granger said that trade distorting measures by the United States federal government are a threat to the local rum industry.
The allowance of a tax rebate, estimated to be valued in millions of dollars per annum, to producers in the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, distorts the market. The rebate acts as a subsidy to rum producers in those territories and affords an advantage over other Caribbean rums in the highly competitive international markets.
Noting that rum production is a profitable enterprise for a small state like Guyana, the president explained that rum is widely produced around the world and Guyana's product must sell in a highly competitive international market.
The Caribbean Communities Council for Trade and Economic Development, COTED, has protested against these discriminatory measures which they see as inimical to the sale of Caribbean rums in the U.S. market, measures which they feel threaten the long-term viability of this very important industry in our region. Caribbean countries stand to lose hundreds of millions of dollars and thousands of jobs unless there is fair trade in the rum industry.
President Granger believes that Guyana's rum industry is an important economic subsector and it is in the national interest to ensure its survival. The head of state pledged his government's support and commitment to the industry's sustainability. Shanti Goberdan with this Government News Brief.
The Kanji Riverine community of Baracara is being targeted in a new community-driven program. More in this report.
Residents of Baracara are ready for a change from the traditional. Government, in responding to their need, initiated a new project specifically for this purpose, says Regional Chairman David Armagan. This is a joint project between the Ministry of the Presidency and communities.
We will find the promotion of greater levels of economic activity taking place instead of the traditional few crops that they are doing here and this limited amount of logging. I understand there are talks now with the Guyana Forestry Commission to establish a sawmill in there so that it can assist the people who are doing logging to manufacture lumber, and then it's easier to bring the lumber outside here in the coastal areas.
Located 140 miles up the creek from the Kanji Bridge, Baracara in Region 6 continues to exist on farming and logging as it did when it was a settlement in the 1800s. The location and relatively small population have made Baracara a seemingly easily forgettable place.
A company from Trinidad I had indicated a few years ago wanting to look at that, to do vegetable farming and some other cash crops, as well as citrus and so. But that is still in the pipeline. I haven't seen anything concrete about that as yet. But I'm hoping that even that company, if they're no longer interested, then other companies can come forward, because that's an area that, as I said, you have good lands and you have ready water from the Kanji Creek. So it's an area I think that we need to develop, and people need to go into these areas and do investments.
During a visit by President David Granger to Baracara in December, the president had restated that no community should be neglected on the basis of geography and stressed the need for Baracara to become a productive economic unit. He also pledged his government's support to work with the community in this regard. Renetta LaFleur, Government News Brief.
We are now 44 days from celebrating Guyana's 50th independence anniversary. As preparations for celebrations continue, the Physical Education Department of the Unit of Allied Arts of the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with the Athletic Association of Guyana, is gearing up to host the Golden Jubilee Relay Festival. at the National Track and Field Center, Leonora, on Friday, April 15, 2016. The Jubilee Relay Festival is expected to attract secondary schools, one from each district. This event will provide an opportunity for teachers to evaluate their progress and to provide student athletes with a unique sporting experience using the best facilities available, the National Track and Field Center at Leonora. The Relay Festival fits into the Ministry of Education's overall vision for the reintroduction of sports in schools and continuous teacher training programs with primary and secondary schools nationally. The Golden Jubilee Relay Festival is similar to other festivals or fairs held locally, regionally, and internationally for high schools and other educational institutions. The event is free and open to the public. The Demerara Harbour Bridge Corporation embarks on a multi-million-dollar maintenance with emphasis on minimal disruption for commuters. Here are the details.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is a vital link for commuters between East Bank and West Bank Demerara. Government, in an effort to safeguard the integrity of the bridge, has allocated more funds in the 2016 budget than 2015 for its maintenance. The 38-year-old bridge will be closed on Sunday, April 17th from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. for maintenance. $48.8 million will be spent on improving the structure. General Manager at the Demerara Harbour Bridge, Ralston Adams, explains.
The works entails us changing the pontoon at 8-4. 8-4 means the pontoon at span 8. That's the last pontoon. There are 4 pontoons at span 8, and we're changing the last one. And that's how it's named. It is numbered pontoon 8-4.
Adams further explains that changing pontoons is regular work, but in this case, the pontoons house the hydraulic cabins.
The bridge has 2 hydraulic cabins, one on the east and one on the west. And the hydraulic cabins is what is responsible for opening and closing the bridge. So they're very, very sensitive components within these cabins.
To facilitate these works, a new pontoon was fabricated instead of the usual replacement of the ordinary pontoon with a temporary one. A lifting mechanism was also built to ensure the cabins remain intact during the maintenance. Renetta LaFleur, Government News Brief.
The Canadian High Commission is supporting the Civil Defense Commission to execute a project which will benefit Berbice residents in disaster preparedness. Find out more in this report.
This project will see the Canadian government providing the CDC with about 99,000 Canadian dollars to retrofit and equip the Fort Ordnance Primary School. This building will be used as an emergency shelter for flood-affected residents. Anita Wilson, Community Disaster Risk Management Officer and Volunteer Coordinator of the Civil Defense Commission, explains.
We will be doing works to the school to see that in the event of an emergency or a disaster, the school is fully equipped to house persons as an emergency shelter.
The school's compound will be raised, the sanitary block expanded to include baths and additional toilets, more gutters and drains will be installed, and the walkway expanded to accommodate wheelchair ramps. Equipment including a refrigerator, microwaves, stoves, sinks and counters will be in place for feeding purposes when the shelter becomes operational. Persons from the community and teachers of the school will also be trained in the disaster risk management component of shelter management. Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana, Pierre Giroux, explains the reason behind Canada's support.
With climate change, the risk of flooding will increase. So part of our commitment is to help regions of the world to reduce the effect of the increased risk of climate change, and therefore to increase your resilience, your capacity to confront the possible future event that hopefully will not touch you, but in the event that it would touch the region, then we hope that your capacity to actually deal with it will be increased through our contribution.
The CDC, which is responsible for disaster risk preparedness, has been working with regional authorities to complete a regional disaster risk plan and conduct training in disaster risk management.
We have recently concluded work in Oriala and Separuta, that is in the Quarantine River. And we also did some work with the Red Cross in number 64 village, Mara and Baracara communities. This is the beginning of the Ordnance Fort Land Partnership. And as we progress with the retrofitting of the school, we'll also be doing training in basic community-based disaster risk management.
That was the Director General of the CDC, Shabila Ramsaruk. The Canada Caribbean Disaster Risk Management Fund is part of Canada's $600 million Canadian Caribbean Regional Program. It is designed to support non-governmental organizations, community groups, and government agencies within CARICOM to carry out small-scale projects to reduce the risks from the many natural disasters affecting the region. Government News Brief, Glennon Greenwich.
The Central Housing and Planning Authority plans to standardize building permit application forms to improve ease of doing business in Guyana. Find out more in this report.
Officials of the Central Planning and Housing Authority today met with members of a World Bank team to discuss improving the planning permission process in Guyana. Central Housing and Planning Authority Development Planner Raul Edinburgh explains.
What we have to recognize is that this particular line of activity is a very connected process. So the Central Housing and Planning Authority doesn't stand by itself, right? Although we want to do certain things a higher degree of efficiency, we are interconnected with a system of local authorities throughout Guyana.
The World Bank team, consisting of Ayodele Brown, IT analyst, and Jessica Victor, consultant, made recommendations for the building permit application form to be standardized. They also advised that a list of all relevant documents and fees payable to the Central Housing and Planning Authority be posted on the authority's website.
The plan is to take the Central Housing and Planning Authority to a higher level of proficiency using electronic media of communication.
The World Bank's team members are here at the request of the Ministry of Business to provide advice on bettering the local business environment in order that Guyana's ranking on the World Bank Doing Business Index is improved. The World Bank's Doing Business Index averages a country's percentile rankings on 10 topics covered. These include trade transactions, access to electricity, credit, land, and construction permits, starting a business, paying taxes, enforcing contracts, and resolving insolvencies.
The Office of the Integrity Commission invites members of the public to submit comments on the draft Code of Conduct for all ministers of government, members of the National Assembly, and public office holders. Submissions can be made at the Office of Integrity Commission, 94 Carmichael Street, North Commingsburg, Georgetown. Deadline for submissions is April 25, 2016. The Code of Conduct is intended to promote professional, exemplary, and responsible conduct by senior government personnel. It is further meant to engender and reinforce public confidence in the manner in which senior government officials perform their duties in service to the people. The Code of Conduct can be accessed from the website of the Ministry of the Presidency at www.motp.gov.gy. We have come to the end of this April 13, 2016 edition of the Government News Brief. You can find the details of these and other stories on GINA's website. We encourage you to subscribe to GINA's website and YouTube channel. You can like and follow us on Facebook so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. Thank you for watching.